In this video, we're going to look at the first part of the assignment for select, insert, update, and delete. So the description is posted there. This video is going to cover the select part. So it's going to cover index page, select page, and then the 3 included files. So you can read through the introduction there. There's a flow diagram generally of how the menu flows and divides up the pages and where it connects to a database. Materials to turn in for this one. Now, I've listed the entire assignment, but I've broken this assignment into 2 parts. I used to have this assignment as one assignment that's accomplished in 1 week, and the students would work hard and get it done. I have since broken this into 2 parts. The part you'll do is marked as part 1, and then the part 2 will come in another video. So all of this will eventually be in one folder, your assignment 5 folder. But we're just focusing on part 1 in this example. There's an example there for the finished solution. If you follow that, it should take you out to this page. Should be able to go to the index page. We'll create this page. And then when you click on select, it should pull from a database from 2 different tables and display it here. And that is all we're focusing on in this assignment. So if we come down here, the first thing we have to do is populate your MySQL database. So if you follow this link, it should take you to phpMyAdmin. From there, you'll need to use your login and password that you were given for the class. This is not your career account. This is the login and password that you were given for the class. Should be something like CGT, course number 356. So CGT 356 web number letter. So like a 1A, 1B, 1C. And then the password that you were given. Make sure that you choose GOS, otherwise it will not work. When you log in, it'll look something like this, and you will need to go to your particular database. I see all of them here. You won't see all of them. And your database is named the same as your login. So you need to choose your database, and then you should see your database listed up here that you've chosen it. And then you go to the SQL tab, and you need to paste in information from the Create Lab 5 file. So if I go to the Create Lab 5 file, and I'm just going to copy all of this, copy it, and you will just paste it and then hit go. And when you hit go, it will create those 2 tables. It will insert data into those 2 tables for you, and you will wind up with something that looks like this after it executes. So you'll have a shippers table and a users table there. There's also a video on using phpMyAdmin like we just did. I have a different database. This is the database that I'll be referencing, and I have the 2 tables already in there and already populated. That's why the solution is working here. So once you've done that, you are pretty much done in here, other than if you want to check the capitalization. It is case sensitive. There is a capital L when this one loaded. Make sure that yours has a capital L or doesn't. It is case sensitive, and you need to adjust accordingly. Same thing with your column names. Shipper ID, company name, phone, case sensitive. If you misspell them in the PHP, it will not work. So please keep that in mind. Once you have that in the database, it's time to start working on some PHP. So we are going to work on menu.php, then we'll do open and close dbcon. So those are our 3 included files. Then we'll do the index page, which includes the menu. And finally, we'll do the select page, and then test it on the server and make sure that it pulls from the database properly. So let's start with menu.php. So we're going to do a file, new, PHP, create, and that loads. Now this is going to be a menu that we include into other files, so we do not need any of this. We're going to delete all of that out. This is just going to be a paragraph tag. I'll do a style of text align center. So there you see my open and close paragraph. Inside of that I'm going to have 4 anchor tags with vertical pipes in between them. So I'm going to do an anchor tag, href equals, and I'm just going to fill it out like this to start. And like I said, we're going to have 4 anchor tags. So I'm going to copy this. I've got the vertical pipe there. Do a paste, a vertical pipe, a paste, a vertical pipe, and a paste. And so there I wind up with my 4 anchors inside of my paragraph tag, separated by those vertical pipes. And these are going to say select, insert, update, delete, right? So we'll put the word, I'll do all caps, delete. That's what's going to appear on the page. It's going to point to delete.php in lowercase. This one's going to be update. It's going to point to update.php in lowercase. This one's going to be insert. It's going to point to insert.php in lowercase. And finally, this one is the one we are doing in this video, select. And it's going to point to select.php. And we're done with menu.php. So we'll do a file, save as, and we need to save that out to our drive here, Assign05 folder. We're going to create a folder called includes. And we will save this as menu.php. And so we come here to our assignment 5 folder, includes folder, menu.php is in there. We're going to create 2 more files that go in here. So we'll do file new, php, create. And we are going to do open database connection here. So in this one, once again, we don't need any of this. It's going to be open PHP, close PHP. In the images that I provide of the code, there are comments in there. You should open up the image and you should look at the comments that are in there. I'm not going to type out all the comments here, but part of the comments talk about this @ sign. So @db equals MySQLi. We do use MySQLi. You'll see that a lot. Inside of here, inside of MySQLi_connect, we have 3 parameters that it is looking for. End it with a semicolon. The first parameter is going to be the location of the database, which is gos.tech.purdue.edu. The second parameter it is looking for is going to be your username. That's going to be something like CGT356 web number letter. Okay, that's what it's looking for there. For me, it's going to be something different. This is your password that you were given that goes with that CGT356 web number letter. So that's what you'll need to type there. So I'm going to pause the video, I'm going to enter my password, and then I'm going to space it clear off to the right hand side so it's off the screen. So now you should have your location, login, password, closing parentheses, semicolon. Mine's off the screen as I said. The next thing you're going to do, you've created a variable $DB that is your connection to the database. Now you want to use that connection to the database and select a database from it. So we'll do MySQL I. All of the MySQL commands are going to be MySQL I underscore something. This one is select DB, where we are going to pass it the connection $DB. And this again is going to be your CGT 356 web number letter. Remember, the name of your database is the same as your username. So this is actually the name of your database that we're looking for. Or die MySQL I underscore error. So connect or stop, right? Now that @ sign up above allows us to do our own error catching, and we're going to do an if not $DB. In that case, we want to echo out error could not connect to database. Please try again. After that, we'll use the exit command. Now, this is a file that gets included into a lot of other files. So if your database connection changes, it's no longer on GOS or something, you change it in one spot, it updates everything. If your password changes, you change it in here, it updates everywhere, and so on. So this exit command will stop processing if there's a problem. So if the database connection doesn't work, it's supposed to stop. So we'll do a file, save, and this one's going to be called OpenDB, capital D, lowercase b, capital CONN, opendbcon.php for Open Database Connection. Next, we're going to create another new file, PHP, create. Again, we're going to get rid of all this. We're going to open our PHP and close it. And all we're doing is closing the database connection. And to do that, we use MySQL I underscore close. And we pass it $DB. And that's all we have here. So here we'll do file, save as. And instead of OpenDBCon, it's going to be close dbcon. And we'll save that. All right. So those are our 3 include files that we need to do. Next, we're going to do the index page. So we'll do a file, oops, that's not at all what I wanted. We'll do a file new, PHP, create. This time we'll keep this information here. We'll change the title. We'll do Assign05. Index page. And then inside of the body, we'll do an H1 with a style of text-align center. Open and close our H1 there, and we'll do Assign05 index page again, so that way we can visually see on the page when it loads which page we're on. We're going to open our PHP here, close it down below, and do an include statement, and include the menu that we just created. So to do that, we point to the folder includes / and then the name of the file menu.php. So we're going to include that file in here. Remember, that file only contains a paragraph tag and 4 anchors. So when this page actually loads in the browser, it will look like all one page, and it will look like it won't look like there was a separate page included. It will look like the paragraph and anchors were just part of that page. So, and then in the example, we've got a div here, style, text align center, close that div, and welcome to my Assign05 site. So that's all that there is for the index page. It's just going to have the menu on it. So I'll do a file save. Now it is not going in this includes folder. It goes one level up. Okay, so it's going to go here. Inside of your Assign05 folder, index.php. So you can see that we've got our Assign05 folder here. Index.php, inside of includes, we've got our 3 included files. And now if we want to navigate to that in the browser, it's HTTPS. Make sure you've got the lock sign. You need the S on there, HTTPS:// cgt.tech.purdue.edu/courses/cgt356/rjglotz. Well, sorry, that's mine. /your folder name, and then your Assign05, and then index.php, and we'll hit enter, and the page will load here. And now we've got our menu included there, and clicking any of these will take me to an error. See, it tries to go there, but we haven't created that page, and that page is next. So we'll do a file new, PHP, create, and this is going to be our select page. So our select page is going to have 2 tables on it, and we're going to pull the information from the database, the 2 tables we created in the database. We're going to pull that information and we're going to visually display it on the screen. So I'm going to change the title here to be Assign05 select, and at the top above our doctype HTML, I'm going to do a open PHP and a close PHP, and I'm going to do a session start in case I want to use session variables, and I'm going to do an include statement where I include OpenDBCon. Again, case sensitivity, so if we saved that file just now with a lowercase o, then you need to be using a lowercase o. Look in your folder and see, check your case, your uppercase and lowercase. So include this file that exists inside of the includes folder, includes subfolder. Inside of the body, we're going to open our PHP again. Inside of our PHP, we are going to create a variable called SQL. That stands for Structured Query Language. Shorthand, we call it SQL. So you'll hear me say SQL more than anything else. SQL, SQL. That variable name, $SQL, is going to be equal to a string that we create. So we've got the double quotes there for a string. And this is going to be a select statement. And if you've watched the video on MySQL, PHP, and the select statement, it's going to be that select statement that we use in that video. So select user ID, last name, first name, title, from users lab 5. Again, check your capitalization. Check your check your uppercase and lowercase. Go into phpMyAdmin. Make sure you've got a capital L in users lab 5. Make sure you've got your columns named properly, and so on. If you don't in the PHP, you're going to run into problems. Next line, we're going to do a $result. And again, in the images that I provide, there are comments in those images. So I urge you strongly to look at those images and read the comments and maybe add it to your code as well so that you have it. Because this stuff that we're typing right here, you're going to use in a lot of pages and you're going to wind up just copying it. So it'd be good if you just add the comments now so that when you copy it, the comments are always with it. So $result is going to be equal to MySQLi query. So what we need to do is use the database connection $DB and pass the SQL query to it. So MySQLi query takes the SQL query we just created, the select statement, and it passes it to the database connection that we created in OpenDBCon. After that, we need to check and make sure that there is a result. So this select statement here is selecting 4 columns from a table. This is users lab 5, so you don't normally know how many rows you're going to have. Usually you don't normally know at all. But in this exercise, we know there are 9. There are 9 users. So we're going to have a spreadsheet. Think of it like a spreadsheet that's got 9 rows with 4 columns. So a spreadsheet of 9 rows and 4 columns is what we're getting back here. That spreadsheet should get stored into $result. We need an if statement to check and see if $result is empty. If it is empty, then we have a problem. So we're going to say if empty $result. Then a new variable called num_results we're going to set equal to 0. Otherwise, it's not empty. So num_results is going to be set equal to another built-in method, MySQLi, underscore num_rows. And we have to pass it the result. So we are checking to see if it's empty. Does that spreadsheet exist? Are there rows and columns? If not, then we need to say the number of rows, the number of results is 0. If it does work properly and there's 9 rows and 4 columns, then the number of results is going to be equal to however many rows there are, which we know for this exercise there's 9. So we pass in the spreadsheet to this method, built-in method. It counts the number of rows and it stores it here. Like I said, most of the time we're not going to know how many rows there are, but this right here, this piece of code, will find out how many rows there are for us. Next, outside of our PHP, we're going to have an H1. This H1 is going to be like the H1 on the index page. Again, we're going to do style, text align center, close the H1, And inside of there, we're going to do Assign05 select as our page header. We're going to open our PHP after that and then close it. We're going to do another include, and we are going to include the menu underneath it. So we do includes folder / menu.php. Scrolling this up a little bit on the screen so I've got some real estate to work in. So the next part we're going to set up is some HTML. We're going to create the table that we're going to dump this data into. Maybe it's best if first I just do a plain dump of the data, and then we will come back and add that piece of code to the table. How about that? Let's do that. So right in here, I'm going to do open PHP, close PHP, and I'm just, for right now, I'm forgetting the HTML. We're just gonna do the PHP. I'm gonna create a for loop. I already know that I have a spreadsheet with 9 rows and 4 columns. I've got a for loop to loop through those 9 rows. Do a $i is equal to 0 as long as $i is less than the num results increment $i by 1 each time through the loop. So there's my for body, and it's apparently thinking. That's not what I thought I typed. Let's try that. There we go. So we've got our for header there. I equals 0, I less than num results, increment I each time through the loop. We create a new variable called row. We're getting 1 row out of that spreadsheet, 1 row out of that table. We use another built-in function, MySQLi underscore fetch array. And we pass it the result, which we know should have 9 rows in it. Now MySQL fetch array, each time through this loop, will get another row. It automatically moves itself forward. So the first time you see MySQL fetch array, it gets the first row. And then the next time through the loop, it automatically gets the second row. And the next time through, it automatically gets the third row. If we were to just use this without a for loop, if we were to just use it without a for loop and just do it multiple times, it would automatically move forward each time. So it would get the first row, and then the second row, and then the third row. So it moves itself forward each time it executes. So I've got grabbing the row out of there, and then what I need to do is echo out what we have. And so we're going to echo out $row with square brackets. In between the square brackets are double quotes, and then the name of the column. So echo row user ID. And we want to do that. We want to do that 4 times. I'm going to do an echo statement here with just an HTML break tag. Now the thing is, when pulling data from a database, doing $row user ID, it's going to pull all of the characters out of that particular cell in the spreadsheet. So if we set this database up, if we set that column, that column to hold 100 characters, and we only inserted 15 characters. When we pull it right here, when we pull it from the database, it's giving us all 100 rows, all 100 characters. So we're going to use a built-in PHP function called trim. And we're going to put trim outside of $row, and you can see where my parentheses are. And what that's going to do is get rid of all the extra spaces. So instead of having 100 characters with 85 of them being spaces, it will only pull the 15 characters that we actually need out of there, and it will trim all the extra space off. So that is going to dump data. I'm going to go ahead and do, I need last name, first name, and title here. So I copied and pasted. Last name, first name, title. So this is very crude. It is not going to look good on the screen. We're going to save this as select.php. And it is just going to dump data to the screen. But what I want you to see is the PHP itself. This from here, the select statement, through here. I want you to see write the select statement, pass the select statement to the database, get the result or the spreadsheet of data, make sure there is actually a result. If there is a result, count the number of rows and store it into this variable so we know how many rows there are that we have to loop through. Create a loop, start at 0, go until that variable is less than the number of rows we just counted. Get one row at a time each time through. Get one row at a time stored into this variable, and then use the column names that we used up here. Then use the column names inside of row square brackets in order to grab that individual cell of data out of that one row. So that's all of the PHP. We've saved this. Now let's come here and let's go to select. And like I said, it's very crude. But there's all the data out of MySQL. So now let's make it look like the page. So what we've got to do now is HTML and CSS. So let's come back here. We're going to be just below the menu. We're going to leave that for loop down there for right now. So just below the menu, we're going to create a table. We're going to set the style on that. We're going to do border of 0 pixels, a width of 500 pixels, padding of 0 pixels, margin of 0 pixels auto, border dash spacing of 0 pixels. We're going to give that a title of listing of users. So there we've got our open table, close table. Inside of this we need a table header, so we do a t-head, open t-head, close t-head. Inside of the table header we need table rows. So there's an open and close table row. And then we need THs. This one is going to have a column span of 4. It's going to be the header of the table. We're going to set the set the style on that. Font weight of bold. Background color. We're going to use a pound B1946C. Text align center. Text decoration is going to be underline. Then we need to it's going to be underline, and then users lab 5 table closing th. So that's going to span across the top of our table. Still inside of our T head, we're going to have another table row. So open, close that table row. Put another open and close TH here. We're going to have a style set inside of there. We'll do background color again. And we're going to set it again to pound B1946C. Set the font dash weight to be bold. And inside of here we'll do user ID. That's one of the columns that we're going to have. I'm going to copy that and paste it. And then this one's going to become last name. This one will be first name. And this one will be title. And that will finish out our table head. We also need a table footer. So I'll do a T-foot, open and close. Inside of that, we need a table row, open and close. Inside of that, we'll do a TD with a call span of 4, so it spans the whole table. Again, we're going to set style. We'll do a text align center. Font style of italic. Close the TD, and then inside of here I'll just put information pulled from MySQL database. And that's all we'll put for the table footer. Now for the table body. The table body, this is where our for loop goes. So we're going to do an open tbody, close tbody. And then inside of there, we're going to open our PHP and close our PHP. We're going to actually just grab this right here that we did earlier. We're going to modify it. Highlight it, hit tab. Okay. So what we need is inside of our tbody, we loop through the results. We've got our for header. We do our row equals MySQL fetch array. That's fine. But then after that MySQL fetch array, here we're going to close our PHP, and I'm going to just reopen it there so that we have our tags match up. We need an open tr and a close tr. Inside of that we need a td, open td, close td. This first td will do style, has a border right of 1 pixel solid. No. Of 1 pixel solid black. And then inside of there is going to be our first echo statement, but we've got to open our PHP and close our PHP inside of there. And we're going to take this echo statement here, this echo trim user ID. I'm going to cut it from there, and I'm going to paste it right there. And now we need to do that 3 more times. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to paste, paste, paste. Style stays the same. This one becomes last name. This one becomes first name. This one becomes title. I'm going to come down here where I have all of these, and I'm going to delete this data, but do not delete that closing curly bracket. Okay? Make sure you do not delete this closing curly bracket. See them matched up there? End of for loop. So make sure you don't delete that. So we've got our open tr, close tr. Now, we do not need this border right. We don't need this style at all on this last one. So the first three, this is the right-hand side. It's putting a vertical divider line between the columns. So this last one, we don't need a black line on the far right of the table. We just need the black line in between the columns. So we are going to save this once again. We'll come back here and refresh the select page, and we'll see everything organized into our table. Now we have two tables, so we're going to repeat this one more time to show that you can do this multiple times on a page. So in between, we're going to do a paragraph with just a non-breaking space in between there. And then we do a lot of what we did up above again. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this for loop right here. So we've used it up here. A lot of this repeats. So this entire section here, where we've got the SQL statement, the result equals, and the if-else, I'm going to copy that. And we come down here after. After this paragraph, but we're going to alter this select statement. So this select statement, instead of selecting these columns, we're going to select shipper ID, company name, and phone. Again, watch your case sensitivity from shippers lab 5. So again, watch your capitalization there. Result stays the same because it's using variables. We're taking this new SQL statement, passing it to that same database connection. We're going to reuse this variable result, reuse the num results here. We are going to copy that entire table. So I'm going to come up here, and this entire table, starting at open table all the way down to close table, I'm going to copy. We're going to come down here after that if-else statement, and I'm going to paste it in again. Now, some minor changes. That opening table, instead of listing of users, it's going to be the listing of shippers. This is going to be a call span of 3, and this is going to be a call span of 3. There's only 3 columns this time, remember? We'll come up here. There's 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns out of this table. So we've got all this, and we'll change this to shippers lab 5 table. And like I said, we've only got 3 columns, so we get rid of one of the THs. And then we've got to make these match our SQL query, shipper ID, company name, and phone. So down here, shipper ID, company name, and phone. Table footer can stay the same. We'll come down here to our number of results. This can stay the same. MySQL fetch array can stay the same. But this here, there's only 3 columns, So I'm going to get rid of number 3 here. I'm going to get rid of number 3. So this bottom one again does not have the style applied. But again, we've got to make these match. They've got to match the columns that we chose in our select statement. So we've got shipper ID, company name, and phone listed there. Now, at the bottom, we don't want to forget, we've got our gap here. We'll do an opening PHP and a closing PHP. And inside of here, we want to close our database connection. So we need to do an include. Go into the includes folder, /close dbcon.php. So that closes our database connection at the end. I'll save this. Come back here, refresh this page, and now you'll see that we've got 2 tables pulled from the database displaying properly. So when you click on the select link, it should bring you to this page. It should dump the 9 rows out of the first table, the 3 rows out of the second table. You should have 4 columns in that first table. You should have 3 columns in that second table. We can do this with any table. These are just dummy tables, right? Any table you can think of, we can do this with. All it is a matter of knowing how many columns you're selecting, and then organizing it appropriately, right? So we have gone through the first part of this assignment. That gets us through the index page, select page, open and close dbcon, the menu. Again, all these labeled part 2. That's going to be for the next video. We've logged into phpMyAdmin, created our tables there, and then we created all the 3 include files, the index page, the select page, and then we went to our own folder on CGT Web 2. Again, make sure the lock is there. Make sure you've got HTTPS. So it's at cgtweb2.tech.purdue.edu/courses/cgt356/your folder/assign05/index.php or select.php is what we've worked on. So that's what you should have at the end of this. Thank you.